You know the vibes. Welcome back to another episode of the Hoop Genius podcast, brought to you by NBA 2K23. Myself, Mo Mootsie, alongside me as always, the one, the only, Mr. BJ Armstrong.
Real name, no gimmicks. Bulls in the building. Bulls in the building. There's
BJ, I'm happy today. I had a little rant yesterday about the play-in games, the quality of the games, but tonight's games were fantastic. Your former team, the Chicago Bulls, with a beautiful comeback win. Zach LaVine dropping 39 points, finally healthy. He got cooking. DeMar DeRozan's daughter providing memes to last NBA Twitter the next week and a half. And then we had the OKC and New Orleans Pelicans battling out in a close one. Where do you want to start, BJ? Where do you want to start?
Hey, wherever you want to go, my friend.
I actually need your help. I
actually
need your help. I actually need your help.
Okay.
I've lost that. Something is missing today, and I'm wondering if you could help me find it.
Okay.
I'm wondering if you've seen CJ McCollum anywhere.
That's pretty funny.
The Pelicans needed him to show up. I mean, I do this for Paul George. I do this for Chris Paul. So CJ's not escaping. CJ, where were you? What happened? So someone, I don't even have the words. You know, I was going to do a whole rant and hold this and a hold that. What the hell is going on? Brandon Ingram making superstar plays. He just needs a little bit of help. Zion's out injured. Come on, bro. CJ McCollum, 9 of 25 and 5 of 15 in his final two games of the season. His brick throwing ended the Pelicans season against an OKC team who everyone expected to be tanking. Honestly, I don't know. It was like, have you ever seen The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air?
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen the episode where they play basketball? Will and Carlton play basketball.
Mm-hmm.
In this game, Brandon Ingram was like Will Smith. CJ McCollum was like Carlton Banks. Say something, BJ. I don't want to go off. Say something.
Well, I'm just gonna let you go. I mean, I want to talk about the games. That's what I do. I stay in between the lines.
I'm talking about the games. In between the lines, where was CJ McCollum? Tell me.
Well, here's the thing. When I see guards, I always say this. And you learn this as you get more and more experience in the NBA. You never allow your shooting percentage to dictate whether or not you play well. And if there's one thing that I can say about CJ McCollum, which is different watching him in New Orleans as compared to Portland, is when you move over to that lead guard position, because this team desperately needs a lead guard. Talking about the New Orleans Pelicans, okay? They have Alvarado. I hope I'm pronouncing his name.
Jose Alvarado
is out. And that leaves CJ McCollum as the only lead guard available, right? They kind of do it by committee.
Yeah.
CJ is you can tell combo guards. You have some guys who are 1-2. You have some guys who are 2-1. You have some guys who are, facilitators, and they could, you'll look at Shea Alexander, for instance. He can play the one, but he's like a scoring slasher, whatever. CJ McCollum is a scoring guard now. He's
then
not
why
a
didn't he
facilitator.
Score?
Well, but because when you're playing the position and you have another responsibility, it makes the game very, very complicated for you, because his true contributions to the game, unlike some guards like a Chris Paul. That's why I think Chris Paul, this Kevin Durant thing will be good for him, because he doesn't have to score at all now and still contribute to the game. I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying there won't be a game or two where he has to score, but for the most part, he's going to just need to facilitate. CJ McCollum right now, if there's anything that you could say that you can clearly see with this New Orleans Pelicans team, is they missed Alvarado, because that would allow CJ to do what he naturally, he's a natural scorer. Okay. He's not a facilitator at all. And when he's not scoring, it gets complicated for him because, he doesn't have like 5 for 15, but 12 assists. His game, especially in a game like this, because thinking about the guards he had to defend tonight. He had to defend Shea Alexander and Giddey and the other kid, Jalen Williams. Okay. 2 of those players had 30 points. Okay. All right. So, Mo, that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of response. So he had to defend at a high level. He had to score at a high level, and he had to facilitate at a high level because both of those guys were fantastic.
But he didn't do any of those 3 at a high level.
That's what I'm saying. But
he did nothing at a high level.
Mo, it's when you play in the playoffs and when you play in the play-in. See, here's the thing that we have to say so that we can put this in this proper context. When you're playing during the regular season, half of the teams or more that you play against aren't playoff teams, meaning, they're of a lesser caliber than the teams that are in the playoffs. So, Mo, you can go through the season and play every other day and play well, and it'll all balance out. When you play against the best team and you got to beat that guy across from you 4 times, or in this case, in a high-level play-in game, one-off game.
It's a playoff atmosphere.
It's a different game. And now you're seeing, and we'll say this, and then we'll leave it alone. If there's any weakness in your game, individually or in your team, it will be revealed. It will be revealed. So you can see what the situation is down there in New Orleans. This is no accident that they're going to force this team to play one-on-one basketball, which Brandon Ingram, wow. I mean, this guy.
He's a cold killer.
Okay. But you can see the other things with this team. You could see they're missing a player like Zion, for instance. You could see all of the gaps.
Larry Nance
They missed Alvarado.
He was injured.
Larry Nance. You can see, I mean, look,
Alvarado.
No excuses. Alvarado changes the game, right? He puts people, he could maybe harass. I'm not saying he stops Giddey. He stops Shea Alexander, but he can harass those guys and maybe extend the game a little bit. So it is what it is. I was just really happy to see Oklahoma play at the level that they played, because you know what? This is important. And I want to say this. They're a big man away, Mo, from really doing something now.
Well, they've got a 7-footer waiting on the wings who's been injured all season called Chet Holmgren. But your dream of a 7-foot lineup may not come in terms of height. Your 7-foot lineup could come in terms of wingspan, because Shea Alexander has a 7-foot wingspan. Jalen Williams has a 7'2" wingspan. Josh Giddey's almost there. He's got a 6'8" wingspan. But these guys, 24 years old, 21 years old, 20 years old.
Well,
they cook in. Lou Dort went off for 27 points. Now, your strategy is, okay, we're going to not guard Lou Dort, let him shoot. Once he hits 3 or 4 of them, maybe change your game plan. He had 27.
Well, you have to give up something. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something, Mo. I'm gonna tell you something when you start looking at the game, you start game planning. Normally, Mo, you have 1, maybe 2 guys who can initiate the ball versus pressure. They have 3 terrific ball handlers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not 1, not 2. They have 3 guys who can initiate, and they're all the same size. This Giddey, this Jalen Williams kid, hey, that kid there is without question. He's a star. That kid Williams, he's the real deal. Mm-hmm. Okay, he's just going to get better, and he's got that thing on the screen. Giddey, wow. Shea Alexander, wow. I mean, his second half. And
we got to shout out Lou Dort for the defensive, not only the 27 points, but on defense.
Lou Dort didn't found his role. He's found his role. He's found his role. He accepts his role. And you know what I love about him is he plays the game with the flow. He never keeps the ball for more than 2 seconds as a role player, which is critical to being a role player. And he's very decisive with what he does on the offensive end. He does one of 3 things. He either shoots it off the shoots it right off the catch within 2 seconds. He drives it within 2 seconds, or he passes it in 2 seconds. He doesn't mess around. Mm-hmm. I like this guy. He's very decisive, very strong, gives you 3 or 4 efforts on every defensive play. Terrific pickup. I got to give Oklahoma credit, man. That's great scouting. That's what makes you excited. You go, you look at a guy like Dorton, you go, now this guy here can defend multiple positions. He's strong and plays his role. And the other guys clearly enjoy playing with him. So they look like a team now, Mo. They get a big guy. I mean, they're doing this now with like same size guys. Dario Saric played about 10 minutes, but they look really good.
Do you think that they're going to beat the Timberwolves in the playing game for the 8th seed on Friday night?
They have a chance.
I think they can.
Well, they have a chance. Like,
I think they will.
I mean, listen,
I think they should.
Listen. They match up with them. They on the perimeter, they match up with every team in the league. Okay. Mm-hmm. Those 3 guys, okay, just Williams, Giddey, and Alexander. One of them we're going to have an advantage versus Conley. Okay. And Conley is a darn good player. However, those guys are all 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", 6'8". Okay. So they're going to have an advantage. Shea Alexander, he punishes little guards. Okay. So I don't care who they put on him. He's going to find a way to get his 20, 25. This guy, Giddey, is just getting, a casual triple-double in the same game that another guy gets 30. And then your other guy, Lou Dort, has 27. And then the other kid makes big plays, and he doesn't even really play exceptionally well, other than he can clearly handle the pressure in the fourth quarter on the road, I might add, as a rookie. So, wow. Okay. Now, they're gonna pose some problems. Now, the other problem is you would say, well, Cat should probably have a big night, but he doesn't really go to the post.
No, and if he couldn't get a bucket on Austin Reeves, how the hell is he going to do it on these guys?
That's what I'm saying. If you start playing perimeter, if you start playing perimeter basketball,
well, the reason
space and all that, and then the reason
Cat was so hesitant yesterday down the stretch is he was in foul trouble. He was on 5th foul, so he didn't want to get an offensive foul. But the amount of rim pressure that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in particular puts on the rim in terms of attacking downhill, it's inevitable that Cat's going to be in foul trouble because they've not got Rudy there to protect the paint.
Well, Rudy's coming back.
Oh, he's going to be back. Yeah, they've taken him out of the naughty corner. His punishment is over. He said sorry to his friends, and now he's back. Okay, cool. Okay, good. Let's go over to the East. Let's go over to the East. By the way, Rudy Gobert has had a massive impact on the world of sports because just today, BJ, 2 Bayern Munich football players, soccer players, punched each other in the locker room as well. So clearly they've been paying attention to the Timberwolves. But over in the Eastern Conference, the Toronto Raptors, after trading a first-round pick for Jakob Poeltl, ended up not even making the playoffs and losing in the play-in to the Chicago Bulls, who had a fantastic comeback win on the road. What did you think of that game?
Well, first of all, I want to say this. Very rarely, Mo, and this is for you. I want you to put this away in your GM hat.
Okay.
Very rarely, Mo, do you make a midseason move and it's impactful to a team either getting in the playoffs or trying to get into the playoffs that suddenly becomes in your core group. Okay. This kid, Patrick Beverley, single-handedly has turned the mentality around for the Chicago Bulls. Now, it's a bit amazing to watch because he's not a scorer. He's not really a facilitator, but he's made an impact on this group that suddenly they're playing a brand of basketball that they didn't play prior to him getting there. So he's been very impactful, and I want to give him a shout out because you know what?
I'm going to say this. Play in Pat Bev. Play in P is better than playoff P. How about that? Patrick Beverley last year in the playing games, phenomenal for Minnesota. Patrick Beverley this year in the playing game for the Chicago Bulls, absolutely phenomenal. Why? He just tries hard. It's a very simple recipe. But I also have to give a shout out to Alex Caruso, because him getting back and him getting healthy now, we talked about how much they miss Lonzo in terms of the perimeter defense. Now they've got two guys who can guard on the perimeter in terms of Caruso and Pat Bev. So the combination of them both wreaking havoc on the perimeter helps players like Vucevic and helps players like Levine and DeRozan who aren't as proficient defensively because of the impact that they're making.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to give Pat Bev credit because Pat Bev he's brought them toughness. And what he looks like he's done more than anything is he organizes this group, right? He's not fighting for shots. He's not fighting for stats. He just shows up and helps wherever help is needed. He helps Vucevic. He helps DeMar. He helps Zach. Caruso does the same. Caruso, I was looking at him tonight. And, I go, I'm just going to watch him. He is an excellent teammate. Like, he's one of those guys you go, you know what? I want to go to battle with this guy. He's an excellent teammate.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He doesn't like when you look at his game, you go, okay, he's respectable for shooting. He's respectable. He plays as an undersized player for the most part. He's guarding bigger guys. Like he was guarding, Spicy P tonight. You know what I mean?
He should be. Yeah, they started off the game first possession. He's guarding Spicy P from the get go.
So he's just a good teammate. I mean, he just gives you maximum effort, plays hard. He's a really he just does all of the right things. You know what I mean? I like him. So, between Pat Bev and Caruso, now all of a sudden the things that the other players may not do on the defensive end, those guys can fill in. They fill in the gap. So, great win for them. Terrible loss for the Toronto Raptors. I think, there's some decisions that need to be made up there. I'm interested to see what Masai and company are going to do now. And, they can't be happy about this loss. I think this was not a good loss for the Toronto Raptors.
They have to start from scratch or they're going to be once again trapped in NBA purgatory. Looking at the Eastern Conference play-in, the Miami Heat will now face the Chicago Bulls for the 8th seed. Who do you have winning that one?
Look, the Atlanta thing all right, I'll say it. It kind of shocked me a little bit. I didn't think Atlanta was going to do that.
Because when Atlanta
see the Bulls.
When Atlanta did that, just before you continue, when Atlanta did that, I thought before tonight's game, if Toronto win this, I think Toronto have the physicality and the rebounding presence to beat the Miami Heat. But the Bulls don't have that necessarily. They have Vucevic, but Vucevic isn't physical in the same way that Clint Capella was physical, unless he gets mad, turns into Vucci Mane. But you think the Bulls are going to win it?
I think the Bulls can beat them. Something is going on with the Miami Heat. Okay? Something is going on with them. Now, I don't know what's going on with them, because you never are concerned with the Miami Heat with their culture and their team and their, they're going to give you a maximum effort. Their intentions are good. But when you look at their team, something is going on.
Mm-hmm.
So, something is going on. Like when you look at the team, you go, Atlanta has been struggling. They got a new coach. They fired their coach last year. Just a year or two, they're in the conference finals. You're like, this team is ready to, rumors are out there that, that Mo will talk to you about the rumor mill later about Trae Young. And they go down there and they just get 22 rebounds casually or something versus
Clint Capella got 21. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They get like 20 something offensive rebounds in a play-in game. So you're saying, wait a minute. Okay, very rarely do you see a team out hustle the Miami Heat. All right, if it's one thing they're going to do is they're going to give you effort and energy. Something is going on. I could clearly see the Bulls going down there and winning this game. But again, this is the NBA.
I need the Bulls.
I can see the Miami Heat.
I need Pat Bev to jump on a table after the game and celebrate again. We have one more order of business to discuss before the episode is up, and you're going to hate this because it's again off the court. But there's a new beef. There's a new beef in the NBA, and the listeners want us to discuss this. We had a special tweet come in asking us to discuss this. Have you seen what's happened today between Spencer Dinwiddie and Kyle Kuzma?
I haven't, but
okay.
I'm sure
I'll give you the
would
context.
love to tell me. Yes, give me the context.
Okay, now we know that Dinwiddie and Kuzma used to be teammates on the Washington Wizards. Dinwiddie obviously wasn't very happy there, and he left to join the Dallas Mavericks in a trade. And was it a trade or was it free agency? Anyway, he went over to Dallas. Kuzma stayed in Washington. Fast forward to January, the Wizards defeated the Mavericks. Dinwiddie had 20 points and 8 assists, but Kuzma had 30 as the Wizards won. After the game, Dinwiddie said, "For them, it's a showcase. They're over there trying to get paid, not trying to play winning basketball. For a team that has real aspirations and has an MVP," that was referring to Luka Doncic, "went to the conference finals last year. We have to be better." Now, I thought, Spencer Dinwiddie is saying that just to motivate his team, saying, come on, the Wizards aren't even a playoff squad. We got to be better. We can't be losing to teams like that. The next day, Kuzma hopped on Twitter, as he does, and fired back, saying the funny thing is they don't play winning basketball, with just some laughing emojis and some clown emojis. And then today, Spencer Dinwiddie went on some sort of TV show, and he said he addressed Kyle Kuzma, and he said, "You are not even a third star on a good team, because if you were, the Lakers would have kept you." He said a bunch of other things. He quoted Draymond Green and what he said about Rudy Gobert in terms of insecurity is loud, and then Kuzma fired back with a 7-tweet thread. Because he goes, "Since I'm so famous, quote unquote famous, let me give you some clout. I'm usually unbothered, but I will not allow this delusional guy to continue to talk about my teammates and I." And this is where it gets real funny for me, right? Because he says, point number 1, insecurity is loud, ? So he's trying to say that he's not insecure. But then this grown man comes on the internet to make a thread. And let me quote you what he said. "The Wizards and I have so much..."
Who's talking now? Who's talking now?
Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma. Okay. He said, "The Wizards and I have so much real estate on Din Shitty Island. This guy got signed by a team, 60 million, so was traded before the following season was over." First of all, he's disrespected Spencer Dinwiddie's name, calling him Din Shitty, which I don't know. I think it's quite childish. You're a grown-ass man. And secondly, if you're not insecure, then why are you doing a whole thread of tweets? And then he had a whole bunch of other tweets, and he followed it up with, "The only way you'll ever get your contract is if the NBA finally gives you your wish of getting paid in crypto. Check the crypto markets," and then the trending downwards emojis. And then he says, "Go Sixers," who are obviously playing Dinwiddie's new team, the Brooklyn Nets. BJ, I know that you don't care about any of this. I think it's pretty embarrassing that you're just a grown man on the internet writing threads about other grown men and arguing. I messaged Spencer after this has all unfolded, and do you know what I said to him? I said, "Man, forget this Twitter stuff. Play Kyle Kuzma one-on-one, pay-per-view in the summer, and settle it on the court once and for all. Donate all the money to charity, and then we can see. Forget the Twitter typing back and forth. Go out there and play. That's the best way. Give the fans what they want to see. I'm not trying to see two grown men argue on Twitter and call each other names. Go out there and hoop. That's what I'm trying to see." Now, Spencer ignored my message. I'm going to keep it real. So I need you guys, everyone listening, tweet Spencer Dinwiddie and tell him to play Kyle Kuzma one-on-one. Let me be the host of the show, and we'll get it cooking this summer. That's the best way to do this. I don't want to see no more NBA players arguing on the internet. If you guys have an argument on the internet, we're going to run ones. First place to 21 wins. The loser goes home and beats by.
I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say this. Because I don't follow stuff on social media, as you know, Mo, and
yes,
most of our listeners know. But that's where all of the action happens. Okay. The fact that we just went, I'll say we, because I was here. I'm guilty by association here. We just went on a 5-minute explaining what happened,
and it made no sense.
It made no sense. Okay, it made no sense, and the fact that people are talking about this makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
The best way I can say it is this. And maybe because I don't take myself serious enough in the fact that I played professional basketball, but that wasn't who I was.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I played, it's a business, and you move on, and it's just like, that's what I did. It's not who I am. It's just what I did. I my favorite word, Mo, is whatever. I just don't care enough. I just don't care enough. I don't just play, do your thing. It's kind of like, you ever watch a boxing match and the bell rings and then they all start trying to really fight once the bell.
And
then wait a minute, you just had like 3 minutes to go after. You can do whatever you want in 3 minutes. And this it's kind of like everyone gets really tough when everyone starts holding everybody back. No, if you wanted to really fight, you can fight, but no one really wants to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, let those guys, whatever. I just told you about Caruso being a good teammate. And you know what, Mo? I always tried to be a good teammate.
Mm-hmm.
I always, I didn't go on a team and try to say, well, let me try to get.
Well, this is what Spencer was saying in his TV segment. He was like, I was teammates with Kuzma. I know his priority is not basketball. He cares more about the passion and X, Y, Z.
And that's fine. You know what I mean? So my thing is, listen, if you guys got something really going on, settle it. Like, we always talking about the OGs trying to be an example. Well, okay, both of you guys have been around for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, set the example for the other guys, because the last thing you want are the new guys coming in going, oh, this is how they do it? Oh, this is what you do?
Yep.
Because, bro, these guys are professionals, and come on, let's face it, there are millions of people who are basketball fans, and both of these guys are getting, I know, listen, we understand the marketing aspect of all of this. I'm not saying all news is good news, but they're in the news now. They're in the news cycle. They're in the news cycle because of something that has nothing to do with basketball.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep it moving. But if you're asking me, I'm like, whatever. Let's get back to the games. Let's see what's happening tomorrow, and get back to doing what we do.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. There's no games on tonight, Friday night.
But I know you love it secretly, Mo. You love that. You love that, Mo. Come on, you love it. It's okay.
I would love it more if they took my advice and went and played one-on-one instead of tweeting about each other.
Oh yeah,
I would love that a lot more.
They're gonna play another game. These guys are load managing, and you're asking them to play another game. Come on, Mo. Come on.
Well, I'm saying, put your money where your mouth is. You think you're better than him? You think he's better than you? All right, let's play. Let's figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah, so sad.
Maybe I'm different, but that's been another episode of Hoop Genius Podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe and all that good stuff. As I always say, we'll be back tomorrow with more. Most importantly, get buckets.